I came out the prison system. I had just done 18 years, 8 months. I've been out of society for a long time, and so I end up looking for a job.
In my childhood, I experienced a lot of neglect. I saw a lot of domestic violence. I carried some of those patterns of harm with me. I parented my own children in some of those harmful ways that I had experienced and grown to understand.
I grew up where girls weren't involved really in very many sports anyway, and then add vision loss to the mix, I was always the person not chosen.
I was about 13. I started smoking at that age. I started trying to hang out and stay out late, and a couple times I ran away from home.
Avery started to have what I think of as panic attacks. It was a hard time for you.
Yeah.
The elders would speak to us and they would talk about the river, how it used to be, and how you could walk across the backs of the fish.
I was homeless at the time.
I was definitely on a path of self-destruction.
Honestly, if I never came here, I'd probably be in jail. It's just honest.
One of the ways that Americans tend to think is if there's a problem, let's fix it, and let's fix it tomorrow. That's a positive thing. But the reality is that some of our challenges can't be fixed tomorrow. And they're more complex than just doing this or doing that. And so it takes a longer view to really get at all of the different issues that have either created the problem or that can be part of the solution.
The value of the nonprofit sector is immeasurable.
In order for a community to really be healthy, it helps if there is a place where people can be assured that there'll be availability of good health care. It helps if there's a point of community pride. So it may be a historic home or a cultural museum, something that brings people together to laugh, to be inspired, to be challenged. It's always important that there be youth organizations where youth are encouraged to begin to connect with one another outside of their educational experiences. That helps set the stage for a community to really be successful and to thrive.
I'm legally blind myself, and when I was 15, I wanted to participate in powerlifting with my friends. What we realized from that powerlifting experience is that everyone who's blind or visually impaired deserves these opportunities to be successful and have an improved quality of life.
South Central Foundation is a Alaska Native-owned healthcare entity under the Cook Inlet region. We provide primary care services to 65,000 Alaska Native American Indians.
Our mission here at Hands of Hope is to do all we can to help people with mobility issues and health issues locally and around the world.
Girl Scouts is always all about the girls. It's our mission to build girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place, and we do that through a lot of different types of programs and events and camps.
The Basques started appearing in the Idaho area in the late 1800s looking for work, and because of that large group that came, organizations like the Basque Museum and different cultural groups within the Basque community started sprouting and keeping the culture going.
The Conservation Fund's making a deliberate effort to work with tribes and Native organizations across the country. We believe in the pairing of economic development and land conservation.
So the Circus Project was founded specifically as a program for youth experiencing homelessness and using circus as a personal development and community development tool to help youth think of themselves in a different way and have their community see them in a different way.
Mending Wings exists to empower our Native youth as followers of the Jesus way, as being fully Native.
Eagle Mount is therapeutic recreation for all ages, all challenges. It uses the power of nature to inspire and to heal.
We provide hope and dignity and stability to people in our community. This is a job that they're doing on a day-to-day basis, but it's providing a service to themselves, it's providing a service to Northwest Furniture Bank clients. It's also providing a service to the environment. I think it's a really important job because it provides all of those things to the individuals that choose to work there.
We're one of the state's 2 research universities, and so we serve the people in Washington partly by being at the cutting edge. I want us to be the best university in the world in terms of impact.
We care more about helping organizations as they seek to fulfill their mission than we do just simply think about giving money away.
I was beginning to be curious about what childhood trauma meant for my life. When I came here to South Central Foundation, the first thing I wanted to do was experience the Beauty for Ashes training.
We don't think of the body as parts. We don't think of just the physical. We're looking also at the mental and emotional and spiritual wellness.
I had moved back from DC to take care of my mom, and she was struggling with dementia. I was the 40-year-old living in my mom's basement taking care of her, and I didn't have a job. And I got a phone call from the executive director here at Hands of Hope and said, will you just come by and look at our books? Because I have an accounting degree and that's my background. While I was taking care of my mom, I was here 16 hours a week. And it worked out really well for 3 years. And then when she passed, it happened to be I could come on full time. And then I was promoted to be the executive director.
When I was going to retire, I thought, I'm going to have to do something to stay busy because I just didn't want to stay at home. That's not a very good thing to do. So I told some people that I knew that were at the museum. I said, if you need a volunteer, just call me.
We have a great group of volunteers that vary in age and interests and backgrounds that help us with everything.
This dam has been sitting here blocking fish for 75 years. I mean, the amazing thing is the fish are still in this river. We still have king salmon that come up and we're butting their heads against the base of this dam. The fish are still hanging on, the native people are still hanging on.
The fish, it's in all our stories. It's almost a binding agent for who we are.
I was downtown and trying to find some place to eat. And I talked to somebody and they said that I could get something to eat at the Blanchet House. And found out that the Blanchet had a men's program, ended up getting into the program.
We feed the poor, we take care of the homeless, we provide good shelter for them, we try to re-nurture them, get them reoriented and repatriated back into their families and into society.
I was at a youth organization advocating for youth that are homeless, like myself, and I was dancing. It was like, the circus always comes here to help people like you. You want to see what they're about? I'm like, yeah.
Circus is a really wonderful art form in that it's a nice combination of athleticism, artistry, performance, community, and combines all of those benefits in one package.
Dance is my first home. This would be my second home.
As we work with kids on the res, there's a lot of unique circumstances, from abuses to addictions to a loss of identity and self-value.
You kind of lose track of yourself pretty fast that way, especially at a young age. But with Mending Wings there, it kind of gave me an alternate road to go, gave me a different outlet to go pursue.
I learned to be a downhill skier. It changed my world because I always wanted to do that, but I thought I never could do that.
I think a lot of people who are blindly or visually impaired live in high degrees of isolation. That leads to a lot of depression and anxiety and not having friends. Our athletes come to our events to an environment where we're empowering them to be independent.
When the dragon boating became a possibility, I already knew that somebody who was blind could do something athletic and have a lot of fun doing that. As I got better and I wasn't observing, I wasn't just cheering someone else on, well then pretty soon I got on Team USA and I raced in Berlin at the World Games for dragon boaters. In my whole life, I never thought that could ever happen. Then I met Billy and the Northwest Association for Blind Athletes, and he said, we're going to help you introduce this sport to more people. Bring the people on, we will sponsor you.
My husband manages ranches, and so we've lived out in really beautiful places, but usually pretty small communities.
He just didn't feel like he fit in. There wasn't anybody else like him in the communities.
I said he's like a unicorn. They just didn't know anything about him, really.
A couple of doctors were really worried and thought that Avery was getting depressed, that he was having anxiety, that maybe he should go on medication. Once they moved to Bozeman, they found Eagle Mount and he started coming here.
When we came to Eagle Mount, there was like a whole herd of unicorns. And now you haven't had a panic attack in a year, right? Maybe they're all gone.
Maybe.
I hope so.
A lot of the guys over here at the recycling place over here, the Springback over here, they come out of the prison system.
His role here is also one of mentor and counselor. A lot of individuals come to him and ask him questions about life, ask him questions about how he has done it after he's gotten out of prison.
I started a mentor program here. I did myself upstairs. So these guys over here wouldn't go back to prison. You know, keep yourself busy working, stay focused on, you know, what you got to do.
Almost every surgery requires an arterial line. Unlike veins, they're invisible, so you have to feel for the pulse in your wrist. So I just thought to myself, there's got to be a better way to do this where we can improve our first pass success rates, reduce pain for the patient, and also make it easier for us, and so that we can move on to the many other things we have to do.
It will ease pain and suffering, it will drop costs. It is almost ready to go.
What is the ultimate promise of nonprofit organizations? The ultimate promise is the promise to change lives.
As I got older and as I went to Mending Wings and went to youth group and attended it more, the message that I got is that I'm going to have a lot more responsibility, and not only that, there are going to be other kids that also are going to look to that and see how I handle that responsibility, or that look to others and handle responsibility. It brought me to where I am here today in this position of leadership, a place I never would have thought I would have found myself all those years back.
If this was already in the cart, in the room, and we could just pull it out, even if you save 15 minutes with each surgery, it adds up with all the many surgeries that are happening in even just one hospital over the course of a week.
It will make an impact in people's lives.
When you impact individuals, it has implications into their families. When you impact families, it has implications into the children's lives or the grandparents' lives. 5
years after having experienced my own Beauty for Ashes training for the first time, my 86-year-old grandmother went through and also broke the silence of her story. And I felt that generational healing happen from grandmother to granddaughter.
It's not about data, it's not about measurements, it's about seeing life change and then the impact they have all the way down to their children's children.
The harm that I experienced in my childhood ends here, and it doesn't continue with my children.
Watching my mom deteriorate the way she did with dementia really makes you question a lot. Working here and seeing the miracles that happen every day with helping people and the stories we get from overseas, I believe saved my life.
We're not meant for our lives to be spent on ourselves. We're meant for our lives to be given for others.
We work very hard to provide girls the character skills and the experiences that they will need to really make an impact on the world and to be able to do whatever it is that each girl decides that she wants to do.
I think what I'd like to do when I grow up is I would like to lead a camp like Toga-Woods maybe, and be a Girl Scout leader.
I know where more fun paths are. I know what to avoid, what not to avoid. And now that I do Girl Scouts, it's a lot more fun.
It is transformative for the girls. It is transformative for the adults who guide the girls through these projects.
Gosh, it's been so fulfilling for me. My life wouldn't be the same. I'm very happy after retiring. I love it.
Once I was hired by the Blanchet, that's when it really transformed my life.
Dennis has softened in his heart. Dennis has become a different person. Why? Because somebody loves and cares about him and nurtures him.
Where do you think you would be without Blanchet House?
Probably dead or in prison. The way my life was going. That one hit hard. Because I haven't thought about that in a long time.
As we saw that it was actually, the dam was actually going to be removed, there was such a release from my being. We're making the news story, the story that lifts people more. And my grandkids can be proud of Eklutna. When we're proud of Eklutna, then we're proud of ourselves. I think that's the journey of overcoming our past.
The panic attacks were something that a friend of ours who has a child with Down syndrome had experienced in the beginning of adolescence, and their solution was medication. We would have traded this kind of reality where he's swimming and riding horses for a reality of hospitals and testing and monitoring medication. I don't even like to think about it.
Avery, can you tell us what Eagle Mount means to you?
Beautiful.
The reason I do circus at 22 years old, the reason I dance as much as I do is to show people that you have other ways of coping with stuff. I'm not joining gangs, I'm not shooting people, I'm not doing drugs, and I'm not prostituting myself. You have other ways of expressing yourself.
Participating in the arts can transform lives and be a place where people both express themselves and their ideas as well as explore who they are as a person.
Each one of our athletes has their own individual story about how their life has been transformed by our programs.
The blindness is one thing, but the other thing is that now we're athletes. And now we're not just observing, now we're winning.
I never ever thought people really cared, like how they care about me. And it has an impact on me a lot because they still do things for me right now today, and it touches me, So there's a lot of love in here, a lot.
It's just a little bit humbling to see the work that people do for the benefit of others.
What's being presented in the world is one thing, but what's really happening out in the world is remarkable.
I think we've reached a point in our country's history where, we've broken a lot of things, and it's time to start fixing some of those things that we've broken.
The world is missing a lot of good things that can happen until we can heal some of the past.
If a person is crying out for help, we should give them help.
There is a ton of hope for the future, that these girls understand what's important and they understand how to make a difference.
Everything we do, we try our very best to put it in the hands where it can be used by people where it can make a difference in people's lives and in the world.
People are willing to serve in the most amazing ways to help their fellow human beings and the worlds in which we live to flourish and thrive.
Eskerrik asko. Thank you.
Tamamas naknuat chai mami akishmi. Creator bless these lives.